All right, nobody heard any of that. Because I forgot to unmute the microphones. All right, so here we go. So we were dancing, we were having fun. I was basically letting everybody know that it's just Frank and I today. Icky, unfortunately, working just hellacious hours right now, so he's not able to make it today. He texted me this morning, and he's just like, hey, put in like 2 15-hour days straight. Not sure if I can make it. And I'm like, dude, that's fine. Not the end of the world. This is not an obligation. It's literally to just jump on here and have some fun and talk about some fun things. So hopefully Icky will be back next week. I also mentioned that Lan should probably be back soon. I think his Wednesdays, his schedule should be opening up here shortly. Not quite sure when. But we're going to get to all that stuff. Coming up on tonight's live stream, of course, we're going to recap the YouTube polls. Things you didn't know. We're going to talk about Space Jam, the original.
OG.
House MD. Did you ever watch House, Frank?
Was that on Fox with the British guy?
Yep, with Hugh Laurie.
Never did.
Never watched it. We're also going to talk about Goldeneye, the movie, not the video game. A Christmas Story, The Little Mermaid, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and Jingle All the Way. Those are all the things that we're going to be covering on Things You Didn't Know. Plus, we're going to get to a Martin Scorsese movie draft since Icky is out. I got another draft from Donnie. I tried to text him really quick just to be like, hey, thank you. And so, because I don't want to see his movie picks. And he's a huge movie buff. He was Donnie, when I was down in Florida, he would always, like, we would get kind of passes to those premiere events that radio stations would do. And Donnie was always the one working them. He was always there, checking out the movies and stuff. So Donnie being
Donnie Wahlberg?
No. So Donnie being a huge movie buff, he's always kind of my go-to when we need a fill in there. When we're down to just a couple of guys, but we should be up to 4 here soon.
Hang in tough.
Now,
we're rough.
Before we get to these other things, something I kind of put in the YouTube description, by the way, make sure you guys like and subscribe. I've been watching Dogma, because it was available on YouTube, multiple different channels that uploaded it. And then I started watching Fight Club. And then V for Vendetta, because, November 5th was just last week. So I started to think about it, and I'm like, would those 3 movies be in my top 5? And I think that they might. So I started to kind of rattle around in my brain what it is that I'm thinking about for a top 5, and I have 8. So let me know.
You want a funny story?
Yes, always.
So Anna had asked me, I say Anna because I had Anna at work. Anna had asked me like top 10 movies to watch in Discord message one time. The first one I gave her was Dr. Zivgo.
Dr. what?
You don't remember Dr. Zivgo?
No.
From like the 60s? Oh man, it's a great movie. It's like a 5-hour movie though. It has even like a 25-minute interlude in the beginning, in the middle, like old school.
Dr. Zivga?
Zivgo, yeah, it is great. It's about the Russian Revolution, and this man falls in love with the woman.
You mean Dr. Zhivago?
Zhivago, it's whatever it is. It's not Zhivago.
It's Dr. Zhivago.
It's not Zhivago.
I've
always heard it as Zivgo.
No, it's Dr. Zhivago.
I don't think it's Zhivago. That's the first time I've ever heard Zhivago.
All right, somebody in the comments put it down there. That's Dr. Zhivago.
Dr. Zivgo. Zhivago, potato.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah, I don't think my taste of movies are going to be top 10 on her movie watch.
Well, you never know.
After that first one.
So here are the 8 movies that I've been kind of rattling around in my brain. My number 1, Tombstone.
Okay, that's been on lately.
The other movies that I would consider in somewhere, like I'm toying with putting in a top 5. There's Dogma, Fight Club, V for Vendetta, Snatch, Pulp Fiction, Jurassic Park, and Mrs. Doubtfire.
All right. Some people might like your list. Others might extremely hate it.
Well, because I was thinking about it. I'm like, first of all, as I was watching Fight Club last night, I'm like, what does it say about me that Fight Club and V for Vendetta are two of my favorite movies?
You'd hate my list.
Well, okay, so just off the top of your head, rattle off like the first 5 that come to you.
I'd have
Dr.
Casablanca.
Zivko.
Yeah, I'd have to have Casablanca, number 1.
You like old crap.
I do, because there's the best stories, and I love the old films. Those old films are great. I'd have On the Waterfront, number 2.
You have an old soul. Is Chinatown in there?
Nah, I wasn't a big fan of Chinatown. I'd have The Godfather, which you
Oh my
extremely
God.
hate.
Fucking kill me.
3. I'd have Star Wars: A New Hope, because that started the whole thing where we are. Number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm forgetting some because we're in this on the spot. Yeah, I'm gonna forget some.
Yeah, that was just something I was
But
kind of thinking
Jurassic
about.
Park would be in there. Yeah, Jurassic Park would be in there.
No Pulp Fiction.
Probably
No Quentin.
no. It would be. It'd probably be further down the list because I would have other stuff like Dr. Zivko would be on.
Wait, so of Tarantino, would Pulp Fiction be the one that made it?
Yeah, Pulp Fiction would be probably the only one of his that I really enjoy. Which I mean, I liked the Hollywood, but
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, and even Inglourious Bastards is good,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the whole where he plays with history and changes, where it's kind of like it throws you off a little bit. So that's why I like Pulp Fiction, because that's just like a weird random ass story, that just kind of all comes together. There's none of him playing around with things that actually happened.
See, I think the other one that for a while I probably would have put above Pulp Fiction would have been Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was. I thought Pulp Fiction was just a little better. Oh, and The Magnificent Seven. Forgot that. That's a great flick.
That is the original and the remake. The remake was even really good as well.
Yeah, but still, that old one is great.
That was Frank's old Xbox handle, one of the 7.
It was one of my first, actually. we no one knew what the hell it was.
So I was trying to think of other things that we could do for movie drafts and stuff like that. And something that just popped in my head as we were talking about Quentin Tarantino, like obscure 90s movies that you really enjoyed. Because, well, I don't necessarily know about really enjoyed, but I remember going and seeing a movie called 2 Days in the Valley. Do you remember that movie?
No, but it sounds like it would be a porn.
It was a total Tarantino ripoff.
Was it?
Oh, yeah. It's where the story bounces around. There's multiple stories going on, but everything's connected. Like, it had, oh, God, who did that? I know Terry Hatcher was in it. Charlize Theron. Jeff Daniels.
Really?
Shoot. I can't remember who else was in it. The guy that was originally in Back to the Future. Redheaded guy.
Matt Modine?
No, not Matt Modine. Eric
Stoltz.
Yeah, that's a good one to check out. But it is totally just it's 100%.
Speaking of, that would have been in my top 10. Back to the Future would have been in my top 10.
Huh? Yeah, we might have to do that. So that's something that we might work on coming up here. We might not do a movie draft. We legitimately might just do a top 10 movies of all time, and we can repeat. Like, because the whole point of the movie draft, the one that we're going to get to later in the stream, is all about Martin Scorsese, is that once a movie's off the board, you can't pick it. It's gone. But if we're doing our top 10, Goodfellas
would be one in there too.
Yeah, well, then I know what you're going for number 1 when it comes to the Martin Scorsese movie draft. I'll have to have Frank pick third.
I think we've picked it like 4 or 5 times already. I try to get
every Scorsese movie has already been picked multiple times over.
What are we doing to Bon Jovi music?
Oh, never. Jesus. Some other stuff that we're going to be some future live streams, some things to talk about here is that we're going to start doing some kind of year in reviews as we come up on the anniversaries of like 1985, 1990, 1995. Because as we go into 2025, I want to look back at the years that are going to be celebrating anniversaries kind of divisible by 5. I mean, think about this. We're going to be 5 years from 2020 coming up.
Yeah.
So we'll do kind of like a year in review. What were the top movies? What was the top music? Stuff like that. We're going to get to those in future live streams coming up. And right here, before we get to the weekly YouTube poll, I have a random question here for you. and I want to see if you remember this from school. Are you ready, Frank?
Oh, it's for me? Okay.
Here's a quick question for you. What did DARE stand for?
It was drug something resistant group gathering. I can't honestly. No. What am I
Okay,
saying?
hold on. It's DARE, not DARG.
Yeah, I started thinking drugs because I went with the D and the R, and I went straight to G. So it's like dare something resistant education.
You are really close. You know what? I'll give you a point.
All I know is it actually pushed more kids to drugs and it kept them off drugs.
Drug abuse resistance education is what
There
it
you
stood
go.
for.
Okay.
All right.
I remember having the T-shirt. I wish I would have kept it. It was a collectible.
Did it have the lion on it, or was it just the
Yeah,
DARE?
it did. No, it had. No, wait. We might have had the dog at that time because I like Dare was in 9.
You mean McGruff?
I think McGruff was on it, but I could be wrong. I don't think the lion came until after, and I think we still had McGruff.
But McGruff was just a crime dog. He wasn't the DARE dog.
No, but I think he was kind of infused at first with Dare, and then they wanted to have a different. So I think McGruff just looked darker. I don't know, not like in a racial way, but just was like his character was a darker. I don't know. And then they went to maybe it was the lion. Maybe I'm just having what is that called?
Mandela effect.
Mandela effect on it. But I know there was a character on it, but for some reason I'm thinking it was McGruff.
All right, let's recap some YouTube polls here. So you can
1991.
You can find these over on my YouTube channel under the community section. I put up a poll every day. Also, if you have an idea for a YouTube poll, message it to me. You can hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, @TheRealBrandalorian. Shoot me a message with your idea for the poll. I'll throw it up there, and then we'll recap it the following week during the live stream. So the first one that's on here is, which of these 4 Christmas movies is best? The 4 options I gave, which obviously there's a lot of comments on this one with people coming up with other movies. Die Hard was not an option. There was a lot of comments of people saying Die Hard for...
Was Lethal Weapon one?
No. The 4 options were A Christmas Story, Christmas Vacation, Elf, or Home Alone. Which one do you think won the poll?
Oh, man. I think it's going to be Christmas Vacation and Home Alone. I'm going to go with Home Alone.
You are correct, and you get a point for that one there, Frank. Oh, and here's the thing. So if Frank can get, let's say, 4 out of 7 correct, like guessing which selection won the YouTube poll, Frank will get to pick first in the Martin Scorsese movie draft. If he doesn't, then Donnie's list gets to go first. So
Wahlberg.
Home Alone did win, 50%. Christmas Vacation came in second. Christmas Story in third. And Elf all the way in fourth at only 13%.
I mean, Elf is good, but I think the other 3 are just more nostalgic for people our age than
True.
Elf is.
But if you stop and think about it, Elf is starting to come into that category for the like when we were getting
22 years old now.
Yeah, it's starting to fall into that category. And if you think about it, it's also the last truly new iconic Christmas movie, don't you think?
Yeah, I can't think of it. Well, you had, what was that? The CGI one with Tom Hanks.
Polar Express.
Polar Express.
No.
There's a lot of
No.
Dude, that thing freaked me out watching that in theaters.
Yeah,
by the way,
I did a whole video about the Uncanny Valley, is what that's called, and essentially it's when they would try to animate, and it was kind of close to looking like real humans, but not enough, and there's this weird dip in that creeps people out. By the way, Dr. PhD is 100% correct with the best Christmas movie being Christmas Vacation. It is. Not to take anything away from any of the other ones. Those are all go-tos during the holiday season.
I think that CGI stuff, that was like, it was still very new, where they would put like the dots on your faces, and because like everybody uses that now, and I think it was one of those, it was still kind of new, but the studio wanted to do it. But yeah, that I remember being in the theater and just being like, what the hell?
Well, there have been, I mean, that's going back to
especially the elves.
Disney's original, or Pixar's original short from the 80s, where there was like a baby. And the true reaction from the audience was, ugh, because it just, it's not cute. It's like they're trying to make it look human, and it just looks weird.
Yeah, it was not good.
All right, next YouTube poll. Which of these chefs would you want to cook a meal with? Bobby Flay, Gordon Ramsay, Guy Fieri, or Michael Simon? Who do you think won the poll?
I only know 2 of those guys.
Which 2 do you know?
Well, Guy Fieri, because he's the weird-haired dude. It looks like he's on cocaine all the time. And then Gordon Ramsay, because he's always yelling at people.
Yeah.
So I'll go with Gordon Ramsay, as long as he doesn't yell at me for eating his food.
You are correct, sir. Gordon Ramsay, 60%. I put the other 2 on there because Bobby Flay has a show called Beat Bobby Flay that I love. By the way, I like Bobby Flay and Michael Simon. Of these 4, might be my favorites. I would like to cook meals.
Emerald, dude. We needed Emerald.
That dude is ancient at this point.
He is now. Isn't he like in his 70s?
All right. Next YouTube poll. This one's more Disneyland specific here, Frank. You can spend an entire day in one area of Disneyland. Unlimited budget with no lines. Which area are you picking? Main Street and Fantasyland, Adventureland, Frontierland, and New Orleans Square, Galaxy's Edge, or Tomorrowland and Toontown? What do you think won the poll?
Well, I'm going to Galaxy's Edge.
I would too. I'll give you a hint. That didn't win, oddly enough. I thought that would.
Was it Toontown?
No! It was not.
Was that Toontown from Roger Rabbit, or like just their version of a Toontown?
Well, it's the new updated Toontown. They still have the Roger Rabbit ride there. No, Adventureland, Frontierland, and New Orleans Square. 56% of the vote went to that.
New Orleans is not that good, people.
But with New Orleans Square, you get Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, and all of that stuff with it. So,
well, see, that's where Disney World's. They don't have New Orleans Square. It's just Adventureland. Then you have Fantasyland. Then like Tomorrowland, and then Frontierland. I think there's maybe one others, but they don't have the New Orleans thing or whatever. I think that's like not a thing in Florida. They just didn't care for it.
Dr. PhD says whichever spot has the bar. And that would be Galaxy's Edge, because they do have a bar over there. Although it's a 2-drink maximum.
Or you can just go to the hotel and get crunk there and then go back to the...
Or you can also go right across to California Adventure. You can go drink over there. It's just really Disneyland.
I don't know anything. Yeah, I don't know anything about Disneyland, so...
All right, next
Never
YouTube.
been there.
Next YouTube poll. What is Emma Stone's best movie? Of course, these are the ones that we were talking about last week because we did the Emma Stone movie draft. We have the 4 options: Superbad, Crazy Stupid Love, La La Land, or Zombieland. 1,000 votes on this one, Frank. What do you think won the poll?
Superbad, even though it's not really like her movie.
No.
Really?
I would have personally voted for that. Zombieland actually took the poll.
That would have been my second pick.
49% went to Zombieland. Bugstas here. Javi, what's up, buddy? Go Cowboys, I guess. Javi?
Oof. Rough season for them.
By the way, I still need to get, I got your address. Javi became a member of the channel. So he's a channel supporter. So I got to send him his pack of stickers. So I got to get Frank his too, so I can do this, and then it'll look like I'm. Oh, look at that! It disappeared. So I'll get you a sticker pack there, Javi. Once I get some time to go through that stuff. All right, next YouTube poll, another movie draft recap. What is Leonardo DiCaprio's best movie? The 4 options were Catch Me If You Can, Django Unchained,
Critters 3,
Inception, or The Wolf of Wall Street. What do you think won the poll?
What was the list again? Okay.
Catch Me If You Can, Django Unchained, Inception, or The Wolf of Wall Street.
I'm gonna go Wolf of Wall Street just because Maggie's in it.
You are correct. You got yourself 3 points. You need 1 more to pick first in the movie draft. This is the final YouTube poll. Who is the best live-action penguin? Apparently, the Colin Farrell version, I keep hearing just how good that TV show is, and I got to start watching it. But the 3 options, I didn't include the dude from Gotham, even though I thought he did do a fantastic job. But I kept it with Burgess Meredith, Colin Farrell, or Danny DeVito. Who do you think won the poll, Frank?
I mean, for me, it's Danny DeVito because that's our age group. I remember watching the older one with.
Oh, when he would eat the fish? Ugh.
Yeah, with Meredith Burgess. And then that guy in the series was really good. But, I mean, I don't know. I stopped watching that Gotham City after like 2 seasons, so I didn't really get enough time with that.
See, and that's what I tell people is that it's after that when that show got really good because they realized this isn't a show about Batman. It's not about Bruce Wayne. It's about the villains and how the city creates Batman, the kind of crime that would create that. And that was, I think, that's when the stuff got really, really good. So what are you going with here?
Yeah, I'm going with Danny DeVito.
And Frank gets to pick first in the movie draft. Yeah, 63% of the people voted for Danny DeVito. Look at that. There you go.
Because that's probably the last one I mean, Colin Farrell was in the last Batman movie, but I don't think he was like in it as much as Danny DeVito's Penguin was in Batman
True. I mean, he's signed on for 3 movies apparently, and he's got his own show going on right now. But it's time to move on, Frank.
Time to move on.
Things that you did not know about Space Jam. It was released on November 15th, 1996. It made $250.2 million at the box office on an $80 million budget. Now, you remember who the agent was, don't you? Or the guy that helps, the publicist, actually?
Was it Wayne Knight?
Wayne Knight is correct, a.k.a. Newman from Seinfeld, and Dennis Nedry from Jurassic Park. He almost didn't play that role. Joe Pytka, the director, pitched the idea of having either Michael J. Fox or Chevy Chase play that role.
Hold it on that picture there for a minute. And I don't...
Oh, my God.
Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yes, because I know where your brain immediately goes, dude. It's going to this dog right here.
Yeah, exactly.
No, Lord, man. Get your mind out of the gutter.
My man's got a huge camel toe between his legs right there.
All right, we're going to take that away. So the studio said no to both Chevy Chase and Michael J. Fox. Now, Pytka, the director of the movie, he claims to be the reason that the Chicago Bulls signed Dennis Rodman. He had a conversation with Jordan about signing Rodman because Rodman, as he told him, would play defense, get rebounds, and wouldn't get in the way.
All right. Well, I mean, it worked.
That's true. They got some championships out of it.
I got 2 of them out of it.
I saw him more than once. Like, I ran into him like multiple times living down in Florida. That dude smoked cigars like they were cigarettes, man. Like, he would finish
his voice lately, right?
He would finish a cigar and immediately start smoking another one. And like, I swear to God, his skin looked green. Like, I felt bad for him because you could obviously tell he's battling demons and stuff on the inside. And
he has anxiety, right?
It's got to be something, man. But yeah, he was always just hammered every time I was ever around that guy. Just hammered. Now, of course, if you watched The Last Dance, you would realize that Jordan had his own arena built.
Yeah, I heard about that.
On set so that they could play pickup games.
Didn't they cover that in that documentary in 2020 with him on ESPN? Didn't they talk about that?
You mean how I just said if you watched The Last Dance, you would realize?
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I was still thinking about Dennis. I was still thinking about Dennis Rodman and his green skin when he said that.
Oh, man. All right. Lola Bunny, she was almost not in the movie. She was a brand new character that the studio came up with, but they were going to go with Honey Bunny.
Oh, Lord.
She was from the original comics, and she was going to be the love interest of Bugs Bunny, but ultimately they went with the new character of Lola Bunny.
And she was too sexy in this newest film, apparently.
No, she was too sexy in the original, so they unsexified her.
Oh, is that what it was?
For the new one.
I didn't watch the new one.
Yeah. Now, Bill Murray, he was originally supposed to only be in the golf scene. However, the director basically begged him to be in the movie, or to be in that scene. And then Murray became fascinated with the film. So as they were filming that final scene, Bill Murray goes over and has a conversation with Ghostbusters director and Space Jam producer, Ivan Reitman. And then suddenly, he's in the final scene. And they had to completely rewrite it to include him in the scene.
There you go. He worked his movie magic.
It was Ivan Reitman, right? Did I get that right? I forgot to write that part down. Yeah, it was Ghostbusters with Ivan Reitman, right?
Yeah.
Double checking here just in case. Want to make sure I get it right. Yeah, directed by Ivan Reitman. Okay. Not Reitman there, Frank. Dr. Zivgo.
Dr. Zivgo.
No, it's not Dr. Zivgo.
The H is silent.
Okay. The original Looney Tune
Dr. Zivgo
does make a brief debut in the movie. His name is Bosco. Right here, you got Yosemite Sam. There's Bosco. Mm-hmm. That is what he looked like in the original cartoons. He debuted in a 1930 short called Singing in the Bathtub. Could you think of why he would not have a full role?
I mean, he looks kind of stereotypical of
individuals
in America at that time.
It's blackface. Yeah. By the way, Looney Tunes, super racist back in the day.
A lot of things were.
Well, Chuck Jones, the creator of Looney Tunes, hated the movie. He did not like the fact that Bugs Bunny had to go recruit somebody to help him.
I hate his haircut, so...
In his eyes, Bugs would take care of the situation himself.
But these were aliens, dude.
It's true. They were the Monstars. And finally, there was a sequel planned long before the LeBron James version. Do you know who was going to star?
Was it Allen?
No, it wasn't. It was not a basketball player at all. It was going to be Jackie Chan, and it was going to be called Space Jam. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Spy Jam.
Spy Jam? What were they going to do? Like drop like kung fu people and stuff?
No idea. I have no idea. It's just it was like one of the ideas that were kind of floating out there because they saw the success of the film, and then they wanted to do a sequel. Jordan wouldn't do a sequel, so they were trying to figure out what they could do with the movie, and ultimately it just ended up being that they waited for LeBron James to do a sequel. I have not seen the sequel. I have no desire to see the sequel. I've heard it is an absolute turd.
How do you, as a studio in Hollywood, go from you had a basketball player, you made a movie about basketball, you want to make a sequel, so that said basketball player won't do the movie, yet you don't know how to make a sequel to a basketball movie when you have hundreds of other NBA players that you could use, and yet they were making crappy sequels all throughout the 90s that didn't use the original actor, and they would put a different actor in that spot and try to pass it off at like Speed 2.
Yeah. Wasn't Willem Dafoe the bad guy in Speed 2?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. They dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, they did. Bruce Wayne says LeBron proved he wasn't as big or as popular as MJ by killing Space Jam 2. Absolutely correct.
Yeah, small penis.
Things that you did not know. Oh my God, Frank. What?
I don't like that jersey.
Gotta work on transitions here with Frank. Jesus
Sorry,
Christ.
It just came in my head late.
Oh my God. It's like working with just a cat on catnip sometimes.
I mean, it pretty much is. I'm not gonna argue that.
Jesus. Things that you did not know about House MD. Did you ever watch the show House MD?
No, like I said, I did not. I knew a lot of people that loved it.
I watched it when it finally hit syndication. I do still love it. I watch it a lot. It's very formulaic. They go through 55 minutes of an episode, and then all of a sudden something random happens in front of him that makes him think of this thing, and then they solve the case. It's pretty much how it goes.
Like all Fox shows at that time.
Exactly.
Phones, everything.
So it debuted on Fox November 16th, 2004. It totaled 8 seasons, 177 episodes before it wrapped up on May 21st in 2012. Now, when Hugh Laurie first auditioned for the role, the show was called Chasing Zebras. And Laurie didn't think that House could be the main character. He actually thought that it would center around his best friend, Wilson, who's right here. Now, if you've never thought of this, House is essentially Sherlock Holmes. He's got a drug problem. He loves solving puzzles. House, Holmes. His best friend is Wilson. Sherlock's was Watson. The parallels are
endless. English with an American accent?
Well, no. Sherlock Holmes had a British accent. He was British.
I'm just saying. It was English.
So the network never pushed back against making House unlikable. Like, it's really something that they worked on. But they did tell the writers that they needed to create an enemy, which then led to Edward Vogler, played by Chi McBride. He was in, I believe, season 2, I think. If I'm getting that wrong, let me know down in the comments. I think it was season 2. He comes in, he donates a bunch of money to the hospital. They constantly butt heads. Chaos ensues, and House solves a bunch of problems.
The corporate enemy, of course.
So the writers originally fought over what House's injury was. Do you know why he had a cane?
They have like a disease, like brittle bone disease or something.
No, he had a muscle. There was like a blood clot in his leg, and he had a muscle removed, and so he's in constant pain. So he uses a cane, which is why he also has a Vicodin problem. They just knew that even though they couldn't figure out what to do with the injury, they knew that there was something. There should be something, but they weren't sure what, and even toyed with the idea of putting him in a wheelchair. Now, that is something that did happen eventually later on when he loses his parking space to a woman who's in a wheelchair. So he makes a bet that he can stay in that wheelchair for a specific amount of time. But then they realized that if he was in the wheelchair full time, that was going to be too limiting. So they gave him a cane. They also discussed giving him a scar, like one that was visible. But then that meant that the makeup department would have to recreate that for every single scene, every single day of shooting, and that was going to be too much. So they went away from that.
Oh, I like what is that shirt said Blades of Glory or something?
Blades of Glory, what?
I think his shirt said Blades of Glory on it, which would have been funny because he was in a wheelchair.
No, it's blue-gray.
Is it?
Yeah.
I like Blades of Glory.
And we'll tell you what, we'll stick with Blades of Glory.
They missed out. You suck, Hollywood, again.
Jesse Spencer and Jennifer Morrison, who played Chase and Cameron, they did actually get married in real life. They also got married in the show, but the show version lasted a lot longer than the real life version. I just recently was going back and rewatching all of House. And normally I would just, like, when it was on TV, you just kind of catch episodes here and there, but I was watching it. It was on Hulu, starting with episode 1, going all the way through. And then I realized that it is tough to get through it because she is just fucking annoying. She's the worst. Like, just the fucking worst. Oh my God. And he's the worst for liking her.
I mean, look at him.
God. They finally brought in Olivia Wilde, and you're like, I can tolerate you. She was just super
season
fucking...
that?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think we just piqued Frank's interest.
What season did that start?
I think it might have been 5.
Okay.
All right, well, we know Frank's going to go check out some House MD. And finally, the writers almost took out House in the series finale. Instead, the show ends where Wilson is it's oncology, right? Oncologist that deals with cancer?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Again, if I got it wrong, let me know in the comments. So that's the kind of doctor that he is.
Doctor.
And then, spoiler alert, when he gets to the final season, he finds out that he has cancer and he only has 6 months to live. House at this point is about ready to go to prison. Wilson's upset that you're going to spend my final days in prison. House fakes his own death, and then they go right off into the sunset on motorbikes. It's literally how the show ends.
Sounds like a true story.
I was not a big fan of it. But if you don't mind the formulaic kind of shows, it's not terrible. It's a,
you know what he should have done
enjoyable.
On his motorcycle?
Lube it?
Headed down a road and headed towards a semi, and then just put his arms out and put his head back, and have who's the bald guy, have the Thing from the old Fantastic Four movies hit you with his semi.
Oh jeez, is that who that was driving the semi truck?
Yeah, it was Michael Chit.
No, I don't think I remembered that.
It
no
was.
Shit.
He was like friends with with Kurt Strutter, because I guess he wrote some of those cop.
Kurt Sutter,
excuse me. He wrote some. I'm thinking of the guy from MTV.
You mean Kurt Loder?
Loder, Strutter, Zevgo.
By the way, we're talking about the ending of Sons of Anarchy. For anybody who clearly did not follow that train of thought that happened right there and doesn't know the ending of Sons of Anarchy, it ends with him basically just driving into the front of a semi, which I always thought was really messed up, dude.
He's getting chased by cops. Decides, you know what? I got no wife, but I got a kid. But guess what? Yeah.
I'm about to go destroy this semi truck driver's life because I'm going to plaster myself.
Yep, I'm making myself pizza on the highway.
Oh, Jesus. Things that you did not know about Goldeneye. The movie, not the video game. Although we'll probably cover the video game here at some point.
Such a fun game.
So the movie was released on November 13th, 1995. It had a budget of $60 million, and it made $356.4 million at the box office. So there was a pretty big gap between the movies. It went from License to Kill to Goldeneye. Timothy Dalton did want to return as James Bond, but he kind of hemmed and hawed, and they weren't quite sure what was going on. And by the time they were going to start this movie, they were like, "Hey, too old. Go away."
Yeah, and he was only 43.
So when they were looking for a new James Bond, Pierce Brosnan was the top choice. But some other people that were considered include James Brolin, Christopher Lambert, Sam Neill, Mel Gibson, Hugh Grant, and Liam Neeson.
Interesting.
Now for the song, because it's always a big thing for the new James Bond, the song that goes with the movie.
Yeah.
They originally reached out to the Rolling Stones, but they turned it down, and ultimately it was Tina Turner that did the song for the movie.
I actually remember that song. It was pretty decent. Which soundtrack song do you like better, that or heard from Thunderdome?
Probably Thunderdome.
Yeah.
The tank chase that has crashes into the Perrier truck. 90,000 cans of Perrier were used in that.
No.
And it took 4 weeks to shoot that chase scene.
Really? 4 weeks.
And there were also some firsts for James Bond with Goldeneye. It was the first Bond movie to have a completely original story that did not come from an Ian Fleming novel or short story. And it was also the first Bond movie that used CGI.
No.
Not so scary when you're only 5 feet up on a green screen, is it?
Wasn't that like one of the first ones where it wasn't as campy either? Like they dealt with more serious, like it was more serious stuff than the whole Sean Connery, watch me slap my wife while I save the world.
My understanding is that it was really... It was Daniel Craig when they started to kind of go down that path of way more serious. Okay. I believe so.
The only two things I remember that was just the theme song was played, like if you had laser tag, they would play that over it along with like the Mission Impossible song. And then my friend telling me about Famke Janssen and how she would squeeze like people to death with her thighs, and he was like, that would be a great way to go out. Yeah. 14-year-old kid, that would be a great way to go out.
And then she would go on to play Jean Grey in the X-Men movies.
After she did that horror movie on the boat with the squid creature that came up out of the deep.
Squid creature? What?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but like there's like a cruise ship that suddenly it's going to get robbed by, I can't even remember the actor's name.
All right, I'm looking this up now.
It's like the Deep, I think is what it's called. And if they're going to rob it, but
Deep Rising.
Deep Rising. There you go. If you haven't seen that, that is a trippy movie for the 90s to watch.
Now that sounds like a porno flick.
It does. Too bad it wasn't.
Perfect music choice here for things that you did not know about A Christmas Story. I didn't really plan that out that well, but it was released November 18th, 1983. The budget was just $3.3 million. It made $19.2 million at the box office and really was kind of considered a flop.
Yep.
At the beginning.
Yep.
Now, the famous Oh Fudge scene.
Oh Fudge.
When they filmed it, he actually dropped the F-bomb.
Nice. Good job, kid.
And so the way Peter Billingsley, who played Ralphie, explained it, he's like, I just had to keep saying the word over and over until they finally got the right take. Ralphie's dad, you know what he's called in the credits?
Ralphie's dad?
The old man.
Well, that's what he was like when he would narrate, the old man.
He was played by Darren McGavin. He improvised most of his kind of gibberish words and obscenities. Now, during the daydream scene where Ralphie is taking on Black Bart, and the bandits in his backyard, he's chewing real.
One for you.
He's chewing real tobacco.
Really?
Yeah.
No labor laws at
for
that
some
point,
reason, in the way that he talked about it, he was like, normally when they would do something like this, they would give him licorice or something that would be at least a viable substitute.
Beef jerky.
No, it was full-on tobacco, and Bill Aisley said that he got dizzy, started sweating, and his lips started burning.
My man was chewing tobacco and dropping the F word left and right. He probably loved that movie.
Yeah. There were actually
80s.
There were actually deleted scenes where Ralphie teams up with Flash Gordon to defeat Ming the Merciless.
That would not have made sense.
The Christmas Story Museum in Ohio does have the script pages from those scenes. And an image of Ralphie with his BB gun in a spacesuit on Planet Mongo.
All right.
Somebody else was considered to play Ralphie's dad before Darren McGavin, but he asked for too much money because he was kind of a big deal at this point.
Is it the guy from Gremlins? Jack
Nicholson. Could you imagine him as the dad in A Christmas Story?
He would have gone after it like he did The Shining. Like, why do you want a BB gun? Don't you know you'll shoot your eye out?
Hey, you'll shoot your eye out, kid.
You want to know what it's like to be the Joker?
You ever danced with the devil by the pale moonlight? And finally, there is more to the leg lamp in A Christmas Story than you thought possible. The idea for the ad came from Gene Shepard, the author, when he saw an ad for knee-high soda. The illuminated ad showed two shapely legs up to the knee. Shepard even gave credit to Knee-High in the original short story by writing that the old man's crossword contest was sponsored by an orange pop company whose name was a play on words involving a woman's knee.
You know what's funny? I didn't think Knee-High was an actual drink because it's in MASH, the series, all the time because Radar drinks it. You know, he's a 30-year-old guy that's supposed to be 19, so he can't drink alcohol, so he drinks Knee-High. I thought it was made up for that show, so that's interesting that it was actually legit.
That's like, I remember when I went and saw Days of Thunder, and one of my friends thought that Mellow Yellow was just a made-up soft drink. Yeah, because remember that's his sponsor, like towards the end of the movie? Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, dude. I remember my grandma had like an old can sitting in her garden. It was like holding a plant or something, and it was Mellow Yellow. Same exact logo and everything.
I think they're trying to bring it back.
I could definitely see that.
Never had it though. Isn't it like grapefruit or something? Like Squirt?
Yeah, it was always like Squirts or Sprite. Like one of those two. I can never remember.
Squirt. Squirt tastes good.
Say that again?
I like Squirt. Squirt tastes good. Blah.
Marking that. And here we go.
You go.
Things that you did not know about The Little Mermaid. It was released on November 17th, 1989. The budget was $40 million. It made $235 million at the box office. Frank, did you go see this in the theater?
You know, I was just thinking about that when you said it. It's like, I don't remember if I saw it in a theater or if I saw it. There's like a time period there in the late 80s, early 90s where I would catch some of these Disney stuff with like a summer camp in the library, in the public library, and it was in the old. I'm talking about that old machine that you'd crank up. It would show it that way. And I think The Little Mermaid was seen in the library, and I think Beauty and the Beast is what I saw in the theater, if I remember right. I know Aladdin and The Lion King I saw in the theaters, but I'm pretty sure Little Mermaid I saw in the library, like for summer camp.
Yeah, Little Mermaid was kind of the movie that got Disney back on track for their animated features. I mean, throughout the 80s, there were animated features, but none of them really got big. Little Mermaid was...
Dark Cauldron?
Huh?
You ever seen The Dark Cauldron?
Oh, absolutely. It's a great movie.
Oh.
That and The Great Mouse Detective. Like, those are great 80s cartoons.
Those are great ones.
But the problem is they weren't... They weren't the big blockbusters. Dark. It started with Little Mermaid. Yeah, they were dark. And then you got Little Mermaid, and then you had, Aladdin came out, and then Beauty and the Beast, and it was kind of the turning around of Disney animation. Now, the movie almost didn't come to fruition because it was being turned down because a few years before that, Splash had come out.
Uh-huh.
And they didn't want to have...
Now owns. Which Disney now owns. So.
Well, Disney owned it to begin with. It was Buena Vista.
Oh, they did? I thought it was a Fox.
No, it was... Disney had released that under the Buena Vista production company. But this eventually was what led to Ariel having red hair because they wanted to differentiate her from Daryl Hannah in Splash.
Plus, she didn't show her boobies in the Little Mermaid cartoon. Or her butt, or whatever it was that they showed in Splash.
Ursula was inspired by a famous drag queen named Divine.
Hey, there was no one would have thought that, seeing her.
And she unfortunately did pass away the year before the movie was released on March 7th. And the studio, do you know who they wanted to voice Ursula originally?
I can't think of... I see... Oh, there you go. Golden Girls. We did a Golden Girls connection.
Yeah, there's a Golden Girls connection. Her agent was like, nah, you don't want to do that. So she ended up not voicing the character.
Yeah, you don't want to work with Disney.
Now,
one of the larger studios of the time.
How many tentacles does Ursula have?
10?
Wasn't expecting
6.
you to go that high. Yeah, it is 6. She's supposed to be a Cicalia. Cicalia.
Cicalia? Steve go?
Cicalia. God damn it. I forgot how to say the
6
stupid
of
thing,
them.
but it's this. And they're supposed to have 8 tentacles and 2 arms.
Sexy man.
And I always forget how to say that stupid word, but they just did 6 tentacles because it was too expensive to animate all the tentacles. Now, on a side note, all of these bubbles were hand-drawn. They outsourced to Pacific Rim Productions because they wanted each bubble to be unique, so each one was drawn by hand.
Pacific Rim? With the giant robots?
Exactly. And Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy. There you go.
Yeah,
it all comes back to SOA. Do you know who Ariel from The Little Mermaid was based on?
Annie.
Not Annie, but the red hair, I'll give it to you. It was actually Alyssa Milano.
Okay.
They used photos of her to perfect Ariel's facial features. Milano claims that she didn't know this until Disney asked her to host The Making of The Little Mermaid, which
but not
aired...
let her do the voice?
And she did not do the voice. But she says that she claims that she didn't know that Disney was going to... Fuck. I was going to clip this for a short, and Frank's got to fucking interrupt me. God damn it, dude. Anyway, the Making of The Little Mermaid, it aired just before the movie's release. And she claims that she didn't realize that they had actually used her likeness to create Ariel. And finally, there is a tie-in with Hercules. Did you know that?
The cartoon or the...
In both.
Okay.
King Triton. You know who he is, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is her dad. King Triton, his father, is Poseidon. Poseidon's brother is Zeus. So that makes Poseidon
related.
And Zeus brothers, which means that Hercules and King Triton are cousins. And that's things you didn't know about The Little Mermaid.
And there you go.
All right.
I didn't know a lot of that stuff about The Little Mermaid.
I didn't figure that you would be fresh up on all of the...
I just know that the old cover used to have a giant dong on it.
It did. That is something that was there. You guys can go check that out. I'm not going to show that on my live stream, but you're more than welcome to Google that if you would like to do that.
And the preacher had a little Woody on the boat.
Oh, Jesus
that was
Christ.
there. That was taken out.
There you go.
Did you ever see that?
Yeah. No, trust me. I've fallen down a lot of these rabbit holes. There's even in Little Mermaid. I don't have the picture available, but when King Triton is like swooping into all of the people, Mickey, I believe Mickey, Donald, and Goofy are all in the crowd. Like they're amongst all of the mer people, hanging out down there, chilling, if you will. Things that you did not know about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It was released on November 19th, 1975. It made a whopping Jesus Christ, now I can't speak. It made a whopping $163.3 million on a budget of just $4 million. What are your thoughts on this movie, Frank? Is this a go-to for you or no?
I've never seen it.
Never seen one.
Never been interested. Never, like, I like Jack Nicholson, but a lot of his movies don't really appeal to me for some reason.
Well, both Jack Nicholson and Louise Fletcher, right here, played Nurse Ratched, they were not the original choices for their roles. Kirk Douglas actually originally pushed to have this movie made back in the 1960s, and he was going to play Randall Patrick McMurphy, played by Jack Nicholson. But he aged out of the role, and even then, when the movie was ready to be made, some other names that were being floated out there were Gene Hackman, Marlon Brando, and Burt Reynolds.
Big names. Those 70s, big names.
And then a number of actresses were considered before Fletcher for the role of Nurse Ratched, including, I don't know half of these. I take it back. There's 4 names here. I know one of them. Anne Bancroft, Colleen Dewhurst, Geraldine Page, and Angela Lansbury.
Okay.
Which one do you think I knew?
Angela Lansbury.
Yeah. Murder, She Wrote.
Murder. I recognized the first name. The other two I did not.
Anne Bancroft?
Yeah, she was in when she in the Graduate, the stepmother.
I don't know.
I believe
that's one oddly enough I've never seen The Graduate.
Or the mother-in-law, excuse me, the mother-in-law. I believe that's her.
All of the actors who played patients did live in the Oregon State Hospital psychiatric ward throughout production. And the performers were sometimes led in unscripted therapy sessions. And they weren't always told that the cameras were on. And some of this footage ended up making it into the film.
The one guy looks like Robin Williams from Jumanji.
Dude, I was wondering if anybody's going to bring that up because today when I was downloading these pictures, it's the first thought that popped into my head. Where I literally Googled, I was like, was Robin Williams in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? It's not, but that is Danny DeVito right there, by the way.
Yeah, that's how they became friends.
And he ended up developing an imaginary friend in real life.
His wife?
No, because he was miles away from her, Rhea Perlman. And so he was concerned. So he went to Dr. Brooks about this. Now, Dr. Brooks, let me pull up his picture here. He told him this is not anything to be concerned about. Just consider it kind of being a part of your character. Like, you're not going crazy or anything. Now, this is Dr. Brooks. He is the real doctor at the hospital that they filmed in. And he's the one who played Dr. John Spivey. So they brought him in, and he ended up getting the role. And he does a fantastic job. And at one point, Louise Fletcher, again, who played Nurse Ratched, she wanted to prove she wasn't a horrible person like her character. So she stripped down in the crowded ward. And as she put it, I'll show them I'm a real woman under here, you know? I think that must have been what I was thinking. And finally, this movie, and this is why I'm surprised that you haven't seen it. This was the first movie to ever get the Big Five when it came to the Oscars. It was Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Jack Nicholson, Best Actress, Louise Fletcher, and Best Screenplay.
All right.
Bronson White Wolf in the YouTube chat says, I remember watching One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest for the first time in my 11th grade books on film class. Robin Williams worked with Danny DeVito in Death to Smoochie. DeVito also directed. Death to Smoochie, highly underrated, by the way. Another Edward Norton flick we've been talking about. We talked about American History X previously. We talked about we're talking about Fight Club earlier because I kind of got sucked into Fight Club.
We don't talk about Fight Club.
We don't talk about Fight Club now. Things that you did not know about this Christmas movie that's kind of meh. Jingle All the Way.
Oh, I have a good story for you.
It was released November 16th, 1996. The budget was between $60 million and $75 million. It made $129.8 million at the box office. Frank, give me your story.
So, and I think I've told you this before, but maybe not. So they had a contest for the movie poster before this movie came out. And it was, you could create a movie poster, you'd send it in, and they'd pick, I think it was like I don't know if it was a top 3 or just one kid would win a trip to California to go to the premiere and meet Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I made like a movie poster. It was like, I don't even remember, like, I think I found a picture of Arnold, and I had like, I cut out like an ornament that broke on his head, and I think I did like maybe drew the round, like the Christmas lights around it or whatever, send it in, didn't think anything of it. And then a couple weeks later, my dad's like, yeah, you got a package, and it's a long tube. Apparently I didn't get first place.
It's a long tube.
It was the actual like the movie poster they sent to me, and it sucked because it wasn't signed. But I guess I won 3rd place or something, and so I had that actual like full length, the big movie poster, and it was sent in the tube to me.
Was it this one?
Yeah, baby, I can't remember, dude. You're going almost 30 years ago.
It's interesting too, because all my notes here say November 16th, but I just realized this show's November 22nd, so somewhere is when in there where it came out.
But yeah, so I actually won a movie poster from that, and it got trashed over the years. I don't know.
Oh, that sucks. That sucks.
If it would have been autographed, I would have got it framed, and I would have had it somewhere, dude. But it wasn't even autographed.
What if it was only autographed by Sinbad?
I still would have kept that. That still would have been cool. I've only won 2 things in contests. It was that and a Rocco's Modern Life T-shirt. So
Rocco's Modern
I'm cool either way.
Life. Rocco's Modern Life.
Hey, heifer.
That was a hoot.
Oh baby, oh baby,
oh baby, oh baby, oh baby, oh. Mrs. Big Head.
Did you know that there is a Planet of the Apes connection to Jingle All the Way?
Tell me.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was signed on for a Planet of the Apes reboot in March of '94. That movie went through multiple script changes, including one written by Chris Columbus, writer of Gremlins and The Goonies, and also the director of Home Alone and Mrs. Doubtfire, among many other movies. Columbus left the project in 1995, followed shortly after by Arnold. Columbus ended up producing Jingle All the Way, and then the Muscles from Brussels signed on as the lead. That Planet of the Apes that they were working on eventually would come to fruition with
Donnie Wahlberg, who's going to pick movies later.
Mark Wahlberg and Tim Burton in 2001.
Oh, your camera's doing the movement thing.
Ah, crap.
That was so cool, though. That was cool. It's like you moved and it like juked and jived with you.
Yeah, there it goes. Gotta make sure I don't have anything on here that I can see that it's not supposed to. Because this is supposed to stop it from doing that. All right, whatever. I'll just keep my head straight. Oh, there it goes. Here's my Discord. Huh. All right. So Martin Mull, who plays the radio DJ, remember he's doing the giveaway for the Turbo Man.
Mm-hmm.
He was supposed to shoot his scene on a rainy day, so he showed up to Minneapolis. He ended up having to wait 2.5 weeks for that rainy day to happen. By the way, R.I.P. Martin Mull. He passed away this year.
I didn't have like hoses just to spray.
Apparently not.
Jesus.
Because normally that's what they do. Like they just kind of like make it look like it's raining in the background and stuff and all that fun shit. So
speaking of R.I.P.
Yeah, Phil Hart. Oh man, I've been watching the old News Radio episodes. He was so good. He was so funny. So he created a whole backstory for his character. And this comes from him. He said, Ted is a guy who sued his employer for headaches caused by toner fumes and now hangs around the neighborhood and helps all the housewives. And Hartman also knew that at this point he was kind of being typecast in movies, pointing out that Ted was another weasel to add to his list of weasels.
That's true. He's just good at it.
He was, man, God, he was so good. He was so good. They shot the parade scene at Universal Studios.
I was gonna say, that looks like a backlot.
Yeah. During the summer.
Oh, Jesus. I bet the people in the costumes loved that crap.
Oh, and like Sinbad has all these stories about how just freaking hot it was. But the dude that was in the Turbo Man outfit, he had that cooling system inside that meant he was perfectly fine in there. But there's all like, you got these people dressed up in these crayons and all these other people that are bundled up because it's supposed to look like it's actually, the middle of winter, and it's Los Angeles in the summer. Or I should say, I think it was right at the beginning of the summer was when they were going through this. Now, they did actually sell Turbo Man action figures.
Yep,
do. They sold them at Walmart. But they only made about 200,000 of them at the beginning. And because, as Fox's president of licensing and merchandising said, they only had 6.5 months to produce and promote it. And it usually takes well over a year for that to happen.
I think those like original ones, if you bought them back in the day, are worth a good little bit now. Like if they're still in pack, because there weren't a lot of them made and it wasn't popular. And they didn't make them anymore. But I think they did like a 30-year anniversary where they brought some of those toys back out.
So one of the things that we're going to be doing on future live streams is I'm going to go back and I am going to look at kind of what the hot toy was for different Christmases. We'll probably start with like 1980 and go all the way through the year 2000. And then I'm going to hop on eBay and we're going to play a game. And we're going to, I'm going to see if Frank, I'm going to see if Frank can guess what people are trying to sell those things for. I'm trying to see if there's an original on eBay right now before we move on to the next. It doesn't look like they're really going for that much, unless these are the 1996 in the box. This one is somebody's got it up there for $143.
That's not bad.
Here they have screen used the original props of Turbo Man, Dementor, and Booster.
All right.
They're selling that one for $12,500 on eBay right now.
I actually have some of those old toys from that what was it, Toy Soldiers or whatever, where the
Little Soldiers, right?
Figures.
That had Phil Hartman, right?
I don't know if maybe it was Phil Hartman. I don't know, but it was like Tommy Lee Jones did the voice of the army guy. It was the toys that come to life. And
yeah, like one was army and one was like the peaceful.
Yeah, they were alien race.
Yeah. Oh, and that was what's her face was in that. Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst. Yeah. I have a few of those toys. I can show them to you.
Oh, dude, please! Next live stream, next Wednesday, bring those on the live stream. I want to see those. So finally, wrapping up Jingle All the Way. The filmmakers were sued for plagiarism, and they lost, at least originally. There was a script that was called Could This Be Christmas that was very, very similar to exactly what happened in Jingle All the Way. The publishing firm that owned the rights to that script won $19 million, but that would ultimately be overturned in 2004.
So was it only like it because it was a toy that everybody wanted, or was it like everything was almost? Because if it's there's a toy that they really wanted,
like that part, it's like, okay, that's just a Christmas story.
That's real life. Yeah, that's
I believe that there, and see, and this is where it's there were enough similarities that it originally won the settlement, but then after the fact, they kind of decided, nah, we're good. We're not gonna we're gonna overturn that. All right. So Frank got himself. You like the skull that's right there, by the way?
Skull. So
it was made by my old boss and friend. It's too heavy. I'm not gonna lift it, but it is a skull. All right, let me see here. I'm gonna move down to because we're gonna do our Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese movie draft. All right, let's see.
Steve, go.
Bronson Right Wolf dropping all kinds of knowledge. I like that. Thanks for being in the YouTube chat there. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing while you're there. And let me see here. Let's go with some smooth jazz. You want some smooth jazz for the movie draft?
We like some smooth jazz.
Martin Scorsese movie draft time, everybody.
Like coffee house music.
Yeah. We're talking Martin Scorsese because nothing says calm, cool, and collected like Martin Scorsese. Frank did get the 4 points necessary, so he will get to go first, and then we will go to Donnie's list after that, and then I will be choosing third. So Frank, what is going to be your first choice for Martin Scorsese as we are trying to build the best Martin Scorsese triple feature? Once a movie is chosen, it's off the board. It's gone. So what is your first pick?
I'm going to go with the one that he kind of, I guess, was originally famous for, and that's Taxi Driver.
Hell yes.
I remember seeing that as a teenager and just kind of being a little like blown away by it, but at the same time, like, was I supposed to be watching this?
Yep. Well, the more that I'm looking into, Martin Scorsese, and I think I knew this at the time when Joker came out, they kind of combined essentially two of Martin Scorsese's movies for Joker.
Yeah.
And it's Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy.
Yep.
So you just took Donnie's number one off the board. But his number one is Raging Bull. So Donnie going Raging Bull there on that one. Oops. Now, I don't have mine actually. You know what? Screw it. I know which one I'm going first. I figured that you were going to go with first because I get to go back to back here. I assumed. Yeah, I figured you were going to go with Goodfellas. Because ever since I was a boy, I always wanted to be a gangster.
It's been picked so many times. I don't want sloppy seconds.
Oh, good Lord. You make it seem like, you honest to God, you make it seem like people are watching these live streams with bated breath, other than Anna and Vero. Thank you, by the way. But no, like, you can choose the same movie more than once if you like.
Zivgo.
Or, Dr. Zivgo. Good Lord. So then I think for my next one, I mean, going right back to the old well. You know what? Screw it. I'm going rogue here. I'm going back to back gangster movies. Casino, baby. Goodfellas and then Casino. And now we're back to Donnie's list. And over on Donnie's list, the next one that he is going with, he already got Raging Bull, and his next movie will be The Wolf of Wall Street, which I believe I just picked last week.
You did.
For old Leo DiCaprio.
Who turned 50.
He did. All right, so what's you get to go back to back here, Frank. What are your second and third movies for your Leonardo DiCaprio movie draft?
First one I'm going to do The Color of Money.
Boxcar Bertha. No.
With Newman and Tom Cruise.
There we go.
You don't have it.
I do.
Oh, you do have it.
He doesn't have a big enough catalog. I think I have all of them.
Because he actually made Tom Cruise act in that movie, and that was pretty early on in Tom Cruise's career, and he did a pretty good job.
Yeah. All right. And then what's your third movie for your triple feature of Martin Scorsese movies?
I'm going to steal your Departed.
The Departed!
So I'm going to take The Departed.
How weird, by the way, is that? I was just thinking about this. That one scene where it's Jack Nicholson with like the hookers and the coke, and he's just going, yeah, like
throws it on and like clean up.
It's just so weird, but whatever.
It's also exactly what you imagine Jack Nicholson would probably be like.
In real life, like they just filmed him in his hotel room and like, oh yeah, this is it. This is exactly what he's doing. All right, now we're going back to Donnie's list. Goodfellas is off, and so his final choice is Cape Fear.
That's an interesting movie. I love how The Simpsons did it, though.
Simpsons did do it fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. And so I've got Goodfellas and Casino already. I'm trying to think of what would be a good. Oh, here you go. I'm just gonna keep it Gangs all the way. I'm going Gangs in New York. Every single movie's all about mobs and gangs and murder and all kinds of crap. So here are our triple features for Martin Scorsese movies. Frank went Taxi Driver, The Color of Money, and The Departed. Donnie went with Raging Bull, The Wolf of Wall Street, and Cape Fear. And my triple feature are Goodfellas, Casino, and The Gangs of New York. Dun-dun-dun. And on that note, that is going to wrap it up for this live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, every single Wednesday we are here. 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Of course, that's 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Make sure you come join us. We talk about things you didn't know. We mix it up. We do the movie drafts. We do our YouTube polls. Head on over to my YouTube channel. Go to the community page right there. That's where you're actually going to see where the polls go up. If you have an idea for a YouTube poll, let me know. I'd be more than happy to put it up. Just hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, wherever it is. At The Real Brandalorian is where you can find me. And if you have a thought for a poll, go ahead and put it, send it over to me. I'll put it up on the channel, and then we'll talk about it on the next live stream. Coming up next week, we are hoping that Icky will soon be back. Hopefully he's not just being worked to the bone over in Eugene as the Oregon Ducks hopefully continue their run here in 2024. And Big Lan. As you can see, we got the Big Lan Stankface down there. He is actually going to be joining us back as well. And Anna, no Jackbox. I got to figure out some technical issues before we really hop back into the Jackbox stuff. It's just becoming too much of a hassle to try to get the Jackbox stuff working. I got to really figure out those technical issues, and there's a lot of other things that I have kind of in the works that we're going to be doing, and we're going to be working on and things like that. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. Go follow me on all the different social medias, and share these videos, man. I take this live stream and then I isolate all of the different segments, all the things you didn't know, and then I upload those separately. Make sure you guys are checking that stuff out. And if there's something that you know that somebody likes, like you have a friend that is a diehard fan of Goldeneye or House or whatever the case may be, share those videos with them and make sure that they're checking it out. And check us out here every single Wednesday. How's Florida State doing, Frank?
We are 1-9, good sir. We're firing coaches left and right, baby.
And on that note, have a great Wednesday. We'll see you guys in 1 week. Peace out, everybody.
You know what's so great is your camera there. When you leaned back, it zoomed in on your face, and then when you went forward, it had to zoom back out. That was kind of cool how it did that. Like look straight at it and kind of like rock your head back and forth. Yeah. There it goes. It's zooming in. Yep.
Is it doing all the weird stuff?
Yeah, when you move back, it zooms in on you, and it was cool because we had moved back and started zooming. Then you like went straight face into it, so it's just all this.
No, I kind of.